Yeah. Hey, welcome to the show. It's me, JP. It's time for another JP's product pick of the week. Thank you for stopping by. I was out of town last week, so we didn't have the show, but I'm so excited to be back right here with you. And where's here? Well, not only on this, your internet, but also this product page. If you go to that, I'll never get that right. If you go to that QR code or this URL, you will find our product page for this week's product pick. Don't go there if you want the surprise of the reveal in a moment, but do go there if you want to get a jump start on getting a 50% off discount on this week's product pick. And that's a maximum of 10 per customer, no resellers allowed. And I think we've got plenty of stock, but I'm never quite sure. So if it looks like something you're into, then go grab it. So before we go any further, what I'll do is, this is a product pick that has a revision, a recent revision, but it actually goes back to, I think, 2017 or so. So I'm going to play you a little video that shows Limor's original product release, as well as some info about the update, and then we'll take it from there. So please take it away, Lady Ada.
Yay, it's the PiUART. So this is our new product for the week. This is a little add-on board that plugs into any Raspberry Pi. I show it with a Pi 0, but you can actually use it with a Pi 3 or Pi 2 or a Pi 1. And it adds a USB serial chip. So you get the Scilab's 2104, which is a USB serial converter chip. And there's a little bit of extra space left over because I had to make it a certain width to fit all the pins. So I had enough space to add an on-off switch. So there's an on-off switch with a transistor.
That was nice of you.
And this means it's kind of an all-in-one powering and interface. So it just plugs into, it comes fully assembled. So I have a double-sided design. So it comes with this like socket header that is nice and slim. So it plugs into any Pi just in this corner. And then it has a green on LED, and then I have it connected through my laptop. When I type, you can see the RX and TX LEDs down here light up. So let's run dmessage, and you'll see it'll print a bunch of data transmits through. So this is kind of nice when you also want to debug, like, is data coming in and out from the Pi? So if you want to shut down, you can shut down your Pi, but then you want to still cut power to it. So after it's done shutting down, and shut down now, you can then switch it off. You can see it's blinking, so it's off. You can
now it's off.
Turn it off by flicking that switch. Yeah. So it's just kind of nice. You can power it from the switch directly, which I think is kind of handy. So it's kind of an all-in-one. If you're doing headless setups, especially, you can now power it and have an on-off switch. You don't have to unplug and replug the USB cable all the time.
Question from the chat before we wrap up here. Can you put an OLED on here still?
You can. What you would do is you would use a stacking header, and these would slide on, and the header pops through. I designed it so that you can, even though it has pre-soldered headers on it, you can kind of see the trends.
You probably thought about this.
I thought about this. The hole goes all the way through. There you go. So you can see the holes on the other side. So if you have long stacking headers, you can stack a bunch of these little mini boards on top of each other, and they don't interfere.
Except they're calling them pie slices. A slice of pie.
Yeah, little mini helpers. So it's just low cost and easy. What's nice about it is I just like to pop it on the Pi. I set up the Raspberry Pi, set up Wi-Fi, and then I can remove it. But it's just an easy way to really quickly get set up. So I find this really handy for debugging. I like the console because, unlike Wi-Fi, it doesn't get disconnected once you're on the console. It's there for life. Another revision, similarly, the PiUART, also the CP2104 based board. I really liked the CP2104. Quite sad that it got discontinued. But we revised this for the CP2102. It's a little board that goes onto your Raspberry Pi. Gives you a UART connection, plug and play, and of course you could also power the board, and now it's got a USB-C connection. Upgraded it. One of those things, if I'm going to revise a board, I might as well revise the whole thing. So updated it from micro B to USB-C. Here's just showing the previous version on a Pi 0. I just found this really handy for, like, I want to power and send and receive data from the serial console on a Pi. This board will do the job.
Yes, it will indeed. So let's go ahead and take a look at one that I've got right here, and then we'll do a little bit of a demo. So let me jump to the little down shooter here. And you can see how tiny this is because I have it in a little jewelry box. Hey, look, there it is. That right there, let me swap cameras. That's the product pick of the week this week. It is the PiUART USB console and power add-on. This is really cool. So this one is the update, and this one uses the CP2102N, I think is its name, from Scilabs. What this gives you is a serial connection that you can use with your Raspberry Pi, which is often a lot easier than trying to get onto a network with both the Pi and another computer. So this is great for remote types of things. And I'll show you how it works. So let's, first of all, let me actually get a console up here as well. Okay, so this is just a terminal console that I've got. And first of all, connection. So this connects right onto these first headers of the Raspberry Pi. Fit that on there and just press down. There it goes. It's nice and slim. And let me see that focus. I can fix that just a little bit. Ooh, that's a little bit better. So you can see this now has the USB-C connection on it. It has the toggle switch on-off. I'm going to put that in the off position. And then you have the option, if you're in the off position or even by cutting a trace, you can power this by its normal USB power, which means you could just come along and plug this in without disrupting anything, without needing to turn it on or off, and just get an external console on the Pi. What I'm going to do is the other method, which is use the onboard power of the little PiUART. So I'm plugging in USB-C there, and then I'm going to flick on the power switch, and let me drop that exposure so you can see the LEDs on there a little bit better. So you can see we have the Pi lighting up, and we also have power to the PiUART displayed right there. So now while it's powering on, I'm going to give it a second to settle down. You can do things so that you can chat with it during boot. I don't have it set up that way, so I'm just going to simply wait for this thing to settle down. This probably is fine. So now what I'll do is connect to it using Screen, which is a nice serial program on the Mac. And then this one, I think, yeah, so you have a lot of different possible connections. This one's this SLab to USB to UART on the Mac. So I'll hit enter, and what it's going to do is make the connection, and it's going to throw us some garbage at first. I think it might even still be booting up. I might have been a little premature on that. But once it's ready for us, we'll get a regular prompt, just as if you had done a remote SSH into the device, for example, except we don't have any networks to contend with. So here we go. Here's the regular login. So I'll type in my username and password, which it's going to tell you I haven't changed. It's the default. That's terrible, but there you go. So now I'm communicating with the Pi. You can see this little status LEDs when I send it data and when it receives data there, blinking away. Now you can do things from here like adjust configurations. Maybe this is a headless setup. Maybe it's connected somewhere inconvenient to get to for a keyboard, but we can get on there and add files, change files, and so on. If I go let's say to the boot folder, you can list the contents of that. I can go ahead and edit something. So let's say edit the config. And there we go. We can go in with Nano here, go maybe uncomment some of the overscan stuff for HDMI. If you're having HDMI issues, it might be impossible to see it on the plugged-in monitor, but you could go in here, make your changes, save that, reboot it. If I want to shut it down from here, we can do that. So you can do sudo shutdown now. And now I'm shutting down the Pi safely, remotely, with my wired USB connection, which is really nice, really convenient. If you take a look at some of our web pages here, so here's the product page itself. You can see right now it's on this great discount, 50% off, so it's $3.48 to grab 1 or 2 or 10. If you scroll down here, there is a link to a Learn Guide. I have that pulled up already, so here you go. This has photos of the old one, but it works identically other than the different USB. Actually, that's the current photo, but some of these photos will have the older ones in there. And this will tell you how to get set up. We're really just using the 5-volt and ground to power it, and then the TX-RX to send the serial data back and forth. This, by the way, is a Pi 3 that I'm using here, and it's powering up from fine from a powered hub. I think that port gives me 2 amps. You'd probably struggle to power a Raspberry Pi 4 under strain because it really wants 3 amps over a USB connection. So there again, you can plug in power right here into the Raspberry Pi's USB and then use this in the off position just for the serial communications. There's a couple of guides talking about headless quick start setup, and you can also go and check out the, if you look up that data sheet, you can find out a whole bunch more about Scilab's plans for this type of chip. So let's see, if we go back and take a look, this has finished shutting down here. It spit out some serial data that we can't read here. And I can get out of this with Control A, Control K, and then say yes. And now I've closed my screen session, and that'll vary depending on how you're connecting up. Something else, by the way, now that it is safely powered down, I can cut power to it, turn it off, unplug it. When Lady Ada mentioned using stacking headers, here's an example of a header that has socket and extra long pins. So you could set this down on top of here with whichever pins you're using. This one actually just uses a single row of them. I can't remember if I have the right row or not, but something like, let me go to a full view here. And I'm going to crank up that exposure again. Whoa, not that much. There we go. So you can see right there, this would connect into whichever row you need, and then you could place another similar type of short header add-on, such as the OLED, on here because it's using different pins than TX-RX. So kind of a neat way to stack up a little bit of extra for your PiUART. Let's see, any questions in the chats? Let me know. This is also a nice alternative to an FTDI cable or a serial type of cable. Let's see. Toddbot says, getting a serial console on a Unix box is how I learned to manage systems. It's how I used to set up Raspberry Pis, for sure. Excellent. Oh, good. And 2231 Puppy, let me pop up the Discord, by the way, says that they're going to use this discount as an excuse to resupply the Maker Lab. Great. Go and get some. These are really, really useful. All right. So I think that's going to wrap it up for today. Like I said, head over to the product page where you can get this nice discount, $3.48 for this. That is the URL and the QR code there if you're trying to find that page still. And let's see. I think that's going to do it. So that's the product pick of the week. This is the PiUART. It is a console and power add-on for Raspberry Pi. And it works with Raspberry Pi, full size, A size, Pi Zero, any of them pretty much, so long as it meets the power requirements. So let's go ahead and hook a little twist tie to there, and I'll hang that from the board. There we go. Thanks everyone for stopping by for Adafruit Industries. I'm John Park, and this has been another JP's product pick of the week. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.